We had a great time on the cruise. I want to thank my brother Ed's family for making me feel so welcome and at home. Brittany, his daughter, there's a class act as an organizer, and things went so smoothly. But enough of that. This is a one-off video that I wanted to put out, as it's something that's always on my mind. This is kind of a reaction, critical rant type video that will hopefully make me feel better about an issue near and dear to my heart. Well, maybe not so dear, but you'll get the picture. I'm often ridiculed for my stance on the American actor, and I use that term loosely, one Nicholas Kim Coppola, better known as Nick Cage. Nick was born January 7th, 1964, so he's 60 years old. His uncle, Francis Coppola, was the director of The Godfather and the Apocalypse Now and so forth. So that got him some roles in his movies, and he changed his name so he wouldn't have to be accused of nepotism, like no one in Hollywood ever is. He has over 110 credits to his resume, so he is busy today, so you got to give him that. My son-in-law, Chase Smith, rates him at about 4.5 to 5 for his career and about 7.8 for his last 20 years. For those that don't know Chase, he's probably watched more movies than anybody I know, and I really value his opinion most of the time. Nick Cage won an Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas, if you can believe that. Here's a little trivia for you. Leaving Las Vegas is the one acting credit for Julian Lennon, son of John Lennon of the little band called the Quarrymen. Nepotism did nothing for Julian as an actor in Hollywood. Anyways, I am not, repeat not, a fan of Nick Cage, never have been, and don't think I ever will. I want to watch just a short clip here of his Wired Auto Complete interview, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay, this is just a cut from this Wired Auto Complete interview. They do these interviews with celebrities. They use Google, what's the most searched for questions. The actor or a celebrity doesn't know what the questions are until they pull the tape off. So let's just watch a minute of this and react to it.
Why does Nicolas Cage drink soda in Willy's Wonderland? Well, you probably know the answer to that better than I do. I think anything that you think as to why is a far better answer than anything I could offer you. That is your personal connection with the character in Willy's Wonderland and your personal connection with what's in the soda can. It can be whatever you want and it will be right. That. Ba-bam.
So you see there is kind of a uppity attitude there. He just throws the card back over his shoulder, and that's the way he does all these cards, and there's probably 7 or 8 cards. Watch a little more.
Is Nicolas Cage a genius? I could never answer that. That's you answer that. I don't know what I am.
So there you go. Nick Cage answering the question, is Nick Cage a genius? And I think we all know the answer to that. He says, whatever you think is right. So, in my opinion, he is not. So, there you go. But what really got me riled about Nick Cage is the movie Gone in 60 Seconds, where there were at least 3 Oscar winners, Angelina Jolie, Robert Duvall, and Mr. Cage. I went to watch it in the theater, and I'm still yelling for those lost 1 hour and 58 minutes of my life to be returned. It's easy to predict everything that's going to happen in this movie, and some of it is absolutely ridiculous. They steal 50 luxury, rare, one-of-a-kind cars, a lot of them in one night. Come on, man. At least the critics somewhat agree with me on this movie, and that it has a Metascore of 35 and 26% on Rotten Tomatoes critic score. I feel those numbers are 2 to 3 times higher than what it should be, or maybe 20 to 30 times. Anyways, when my son Nick and his wife went to Hollywood, they sent me this picture of his footprints at the Walk of Fame, just to kind of rub it in about Nick. Here's a picture of me and Nick Cage's wax figure at Madame Tussauds Museum in Las Vegas. Maybe it was a wax cutout, probably had more acting than Nick Cage. So let's watch this video and my reaction to it about a list of Nick Cage movies since about 2000, showing movie box office earnings on a classification of their relative success. And a link to that video is below. They have several of these videos for different actors, and I highly recommend that you go check them out. Okay, we're going to run through this list. The rating, whether it's a hit or a flop or whatever, is based on, I guess, did it make money, and so it can make more money at the box office but still be a loser if it costs a lot of money to make, and vice versa. So can't go with the absolute value of the earnings, but hey, I want to tell you something before we get started. Nick Cage was a very busy actor, and we'll just go through these. First is Gone in 60 Seconds. Made $237 million. I guess money-wise, it was a super hit. One of my least favorite movies of all time. Then he made The Family Man. Made $124 million. Super hit. Captain Corelli's Mandolin, $62 million. Average, okay. Wind Talkers, $77 million. Flop. Get used to that word. Adaptation, $32 million. Hit. Matchstick Men in 2003, $65 million. Average. National Treasure, $347 million. A blockbuster, and it was. Lord of War, $72 million. A hit. The Weatherman, $19 million. Flop. 2005. The Wicker Man, $38 million. Flop. World Trade Center had a lot of other stars and Oliver Stone movies, so that kind of helped. $163 million super hit. Ghost Rider, it did make a lot of money, $228 million, a super hit. Followed that up with Grindhouse, $25 million flop. Next, a $77 million flop. But National Treasure Book of Secrets, that was a blockbuster at $459 million. Then he made Bangkok Dangerous, and made a tenth of that, $42 million, flop. Knowing, $186 million super hit. Then he made Bad Lieutenant, $10 million, a bad movie, flop. Kick-A at $96 million a hit, but not because of Nick Cage as everybody else. The Sorcerer's Apprentice, a big hit, $215 million. Season of the Witch, $91 million, a hit. Drive Angry made the money that I thought Gone in 60 Seconds should have made, a flop. Trespass, $10 million flop. Seeking Justice, $14 million flop. He made Ghost Rider, which a lot of people like, $150 million super hit. Stolen at $18 million flop. The Frozen Ground with John Cusack, Vanessa Hudgens, $5 million flop. Joe, since they didn't want to put a lot of money in the title, $2 million flop. Then he made Rage, $25 million average. Outcast, $5 million flop. Left Behind. This movie is about the Rapture series of books. Nick Cage plays the protagonist. $27 million semi-hit. Then he made Dying of the Light, $5 million flop. He made The Runner, 2015, $20,000 flop. Pay the Ghost, $5 million flop. The Trust, $7 million average. I think that was a foreign film. Dog Eat Dog, $1.8 million flop. Snowden, it was made by Oliver Stone there, $37 million flop. USS Indianapolis, $1.6 million flop. Army of One, 2016, 37,000 flop. Arsenal, 21,000 flop. Vengeance, a love story, $73,000 flop. He made Inconceivable with a bunch of players there, $25 million flop. Mom and Dad, $28 million flop. Mandy, $1.7 million in 2018 flop. Looking Glass, he made $7.6 million flop. The Humanity Bureau, flop. 211 in 2018, $1.1 million flop. Between Worlds, $14 million flop. A Score to Settle, $17 million flop. Color Out of Space, $1 million flop. Are you getting the picture here? Running with the Devil, $11 million flop. Kill Chain, $1 million in 2019 flop. Primal, $12 million flop. Grand Isle, $1 million flop. Jiu-Jitsu, $99,000 flop. Prisoners of the Ghostland in 2021, $80,000 flop. Willy's Wonderland, $45 million, I assume that's $45,000 flop. He made Pig, $4 million average. I guess he made it for nothing on the weekend. And then The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I actually did enjoy watching this movie. It's Nick Cage playing Nick Cage, but he is admitting that he's playing Nick Cage, and this is what he does in every movie he plays Nick Cage. So it made $29 million. It wasn't released in the theaters or anything, so average return. Butcher's Crossing, $15,000 flop. The Old Way, $59,000, I assume, flop. Renfield, one of the last movies here that come out lately, $26 million flop. Sympathy for the Devil, flop. The Retirement Plan, which he needs to check out, flop. And finally, Dream Scenario, The Man of Your Dreams, average. So, sponsored Better Than Real Life Videos. I had a coworker that had a vehicle for the rear view mirror. It displayed a video of what was behind him. I can see some advantages, like if you got something behind, in your vehicle behind you that you can't see through the back window, things like that. But it was pretty weird. Well, these folks at Better Than Real Life take it to the next level. So let's watch their video.
Is this you? You live in an apartment with no windows or a crappy view. Or you work in an office with no window or a crappy view. Well, here's the answer to the problem you may have not known you had. Simulation windows. These windows can be set to display a static image, or options for placing a sensor outdoors to project a screen simulating the conditions of outside. They can be set to display day or night, sunny, rainy, or snowy, or apocalyptic if you're in that kind of mood. Sim windows are better than real windows, easier to clean, but they can have the option to show as dirty windows if you're into that sort of thing. Low-power AMOLED screens come in many different sizes, from bathroom size to picture window size. They can even simulate blinds or curtains so your style and color scheme never goes out of style. Contact us today for a free home estimate, which is on sale this week for $199. Why settle for real life when you can have better than real life windows? Order yours now. Operators are sitting by the phone awaiting your call, or order online at www.betterview.com.
Okay, so that's my reaction, and I think justification for rating Nick Cage so poorly in my estimation. If he's in a movie, it's a clear signal to me, do not watch under any circumstance. But I have to be honest, I have actually liked two of his movies, Con Air, which was a brilliant film in my opinion, and a movie where he plays himself like he does in all his movies. But in this one, he actually is playing himself, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I enjoyed that movie, maybe as much as for Pedro Pascal's anything, but it showed Nick Cage has a sense of humor. So I'll leave it at that. I don't think he's a good actor, and I believe his record of the last 20 plus years bear me out on that I'm not alone in thinking that. So this is off my chest, and for those of you who had any questions about how I feel about Nick Cage, I love him as a person. I think he tries really hard, but he's just not my kind of actor. So here you go. So thanks. Stay Hubbard.